Hello, I'm Divya Kosana. I'm here to explain you about my code implemented for my project Longest Palindromic Substring. I have performed three algorithms, that is brute force technique, dynamic programming and the Maneker's algorithm by taking some string values, and will now show you my test cases and the code implementation. So first goes with the brute force algorithm. To demonstrate this, I have passed a string which is a palindrome and perform the iterations with the empirical time. I have wrote a for loop for each iteration, what was the time taken for each iteration and the empirical time. And when I execute this code, it just gives me the longest palindromic substring and also the time taken for each iteration and the empirical time. So the second test case, I am choosing another palindromic substring, that is wow. And when I save the program and when I execute this, it just gives me the longest palindromic substring, that is 3, and also the time taken for each iteration and the empirical time. The third test case comes with noon. So when I save the program and execute this, it just gives me the longest palindromic substring and the time taken for each iteration with the empirical time. And the fourth test case is like so when I execute kayak is a string which I am taking for the fourth test case, and when I execute this program, it just gives me the longest palindromic substring and also the time taken for each iteration. That is, it comes with 0 and then gets increases with 0.002 and gives the empirical time. Last but not the least, the last test case goes with madam, which is a palindrome. So when I save and execute this program, it just gives me the longest palindromic substring and the time taken for it. And this is the test cases for each string which I wanted to implement. But when it comes to the algorithm, also for computing the values in the table, I have used a random string generator where the value of n can be varied from 10,000 according to the table. I am just using this random function so that it will be generating some random string and performing the number of iterations and generating the time for each iteration. So this comes with the random generator program. So here I'm just taking the n value. The n value may be varied from 10,000 according to the table. For now, for the demo, I was just showing you the n value as 1000. And this is a random string. So when I'm using this random string generator for the longest palindromic substring, it just when I execute the program, it just gives the random string like this, and the longest palindromic substring is 3. It just takes the longest palindromic substring according to the random string, and the time taken for each iteration may be varied and gives the total empirical time. So this is the brute force algorithm I just wanted to implement it for the table. So next comes the dynamic programming. So the dynamic programming for each string may be also be another palindromic substring, that is madam. So when I execute this code, it just gives me the longest substring and the time taken for each palindromic substring and the empirical time. When I was using the another palindromic substring, it just gives me the execution time for each iteration and the empirical time. So the dynamic programming which I was using for the table is the n value. The n value may be changed according to the table from 10,000. I have used this random string generator in my dynamic programming so that it gives the some random string and just performs the iterations for each string and gives the time and the empirical time. When I was executing this code, I can just see the random string and the time taken for each iteration and the empirical time. So next comes the Maneker's algorithm. The Maneker's algorithm is also the algorithm which tells about the same palindromic substring. The palindromic substring, that is MAM, it just gives me the longest palindromic substring and the time taken for each iteration and the empirical time. So this Maneker's algorithm I have been using for the table to compute the n values from 10,000. So the value of n may be changed. So for now I was just taking the n value as 10. So it just takes the random string generator as 10 and then gives the longest palindromic substring. Palindrome is like 3 and just gives the iteration for each time period and the empirical time. So I have been using these 3 algorithms for my project. Thank you.